Hey everybody, it's Benny One, and I'm back at you with the last Star Wars movie review, everybody. And we are on Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. The one that ended the entire Star Wars franchise, basically. The story that has been being told since 1977, everybody. With the prequel movies, the original trilogy, now this new trilogy. And you know what? Rogue One and Solo... yeah, they're standalone movies, but they're a part of this story. So, we have 11 movies. It's pretty crazy. So, this movie has kind of a little troubled history because Colin Trevorrow, the guy that directed Jurassic World, was the original director and writer on this movie, and him and Kathleen Kennedy were butting heads over the story. So, she kicked his ass to the curb, and after The Last Jedi and what happened with that movie and how it divided the Star Wars fan base right down the middle, and people loved it and people hate it. Trust me, if you want to go watch my review, I had lots to say about it. So, yeah, so it divided the fan base, and so she brought back J.J. Abrams to finish the trilogy off, and he directed The Force Awakens. And he also he rejuvenated the Star Trek universe too. So he did a great job with those movies. So yeah, they brought him back. And you know what? I feel bad for the guy, for one thing, because not only was he tasked with, ending this new trilogy, but he also had to try and fix all the shit that people were pissed off about that happened in The Last Jedi. Like, he had to fix so much stuff and try and make fans happy again, but then he pissed other fans off because of what he did. And then he also had to take an entire franchise, the Skywalker saga, and end it all in one movie. Like, he had a lot to accomplish with this movie when he wasn't even originally supposed to be the guy doing it. So, I imagine if he would have been told when he started making The Force Awakens, hey, you're going to do the third movie in this trilogy too, and he would have had years to think about this and work on it, I bet you money the story would have turned out better. But they brought him back on board, and they're like, oh, he had a lot of shit he had to accomplish in this one movie. So, I feel bad for the guy, honestly, I really do, because he had a lot of shit that he had to deal with making this movie. And I thought, with what he did with it, I honestly thought the guy did the best he possibly could with what he was tasked doing. So I don't hate or fault him for anything in this movie. Because did this movie turn out the best it could? No, it didn't. Did it end the Skywalker saga the best it could? No, it didn't. It's not a horrible Star Wars movie. It's a fast-paced thrill ride Star Wars movie, man. You barely have time to breathe between scenes, man. They are just, this is so fast-paced. That fast-paced, action-oriented style that J.J. Abrams does, where you clip in that seatbelt and you strap that bitch on tight and you hold on. He goes completely uncorked with that in this movie. You barely have any time to think about what just happened, because a scene happens with a big action set piece and you get some emotion shit in it, and then just 2 minutes later, you're back in it again. It's just woo! I'm on a roller coaster ride. Good Lord. I mean, it's entertaining. That's for sure. Now, I mean, some of the story choices, they turned Ben Solo back to the good side, which I kind of figured happened. Because here's the thing. I hated Kylo Ren when he killed Han Solo. I was like, if they ever turn that bitch back to the good side, never gonna happen. I will not be okay with it. But the way they did it, they brought Harrison Ford back for a scene with him, and he wasn't a Force ghost, but he was like a vision or some shit. I don't know. They should have just had him be a Force ghost, even though he wasn't Force sensitive. I don't know. There was a cool scene with him and Han, so I was okay with it, I guess. And the relationship with Rey and Ben. It was all right. I don't know. The one thing that I don't quite understand that they did and how they went about doing it is when Chewie gets captured and Rey is trying to stop the ship because Finn tells her, they got Chewie! They got Chewie! So she's all, yeah, using the Force and stuff, and then Kylo's on the other side using the Force, and they're fighting over the ship and shit, and then she shoots the goddamn Force lightning out of her hands, and that's when I knew. As soon as she did that shit, I knew exactly who her lineage was, because that was the big thing about this movie, is they finally revealed who her parents were and who her lineage is and who her family is. And as soon as that Force lightning came out, I was like, oh shit, no way in hell are they going down this route. And they did. But anyway, so you think Chewbacca dies. Like, it was sad. I was like, holy fuck, they just killed Chewie. I was like, they just killed Chewbacca. I was like, no way, one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and they killed him. And they do not hold, because Chewie's not dead. He didn't die. And I swear to God, it's like not even 5 minutes later, they show him. They show Chewie, like up on the friggin' not the First Order ship. They show him. They're like, well, one of the cruisers blew up, but we did have one come back, and it had a very important prisoner on it. And then, they like show him, and I was like, man, you should have rode that longer and made us actually think that he was dead. Like, you could have stretched that out at least 20 minutes into the movie and like really made us think that Chewbacca was dead, but like they don't. Cause like they could have actually, like when Rey realizes that Chewie is up on Ren's like ship, when she realizes that, that's about 20-25 minutes after he blows up, or you think he blows up. That's when they should have been like, oh yeah, Chewie's still alive. They shouldn't have showed him like 4 minutes after it happened, like after he supposedly died. Like, you don't have, like, as an audience, emotion, like with the emotion side of it, it doesn't affect you then. Like, it should have ridden that out. It would have been way more impactful on the audience's like emotion and everything. But I just don't understand why they were so quick to just turn that around, I don't get that. So it has good action though. There's good action. The space fight is pretty cool at the end of the movie. Especially when Lando and Chewie come and they bring all of these ships. We get the ship from freaking Rebels, like all sorts of ships. It's just cool, man. I mean, Lando Calrissian's back in the movie. Billy D. Williams shows up. There's some Babu Frick is a pretty cool little alien, the one that does the whole resetting a C-3PO. The dagger thing. The dagger in this movie makes no bloody sense. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't get it. Because Rey like realizes you pull this thing out, and it's the key to them finding the Sith Wayfinder, which I don't know why they didn't call them the holocrons, like the Sith holocrons, because that's what they are, but they didn't call them that. I don't understand why they didn't call them that. I don't know. But supposedly this dagger like shows her where it is in the second Death Star, because we get to go see where pieces of the second Death Star are on one of the Endor moons. It's a different moon. And I'm like, okay, wait a second. Just wait a second. That blade was super old. So, like, was it made when the second Death Star was still whole or crushed? That's what I'm like. They didn't really explain that. So I'm like, how the hell would whoever designed that know? Like, I'm just like, because she holds it up to the wreckage and like it fits in this little spot like a puzzle. And I'm like, I feel like we need an explanation about that. It just didn't make any sense. And the Palpatine shit, people thought it was stupid they brought Palpatine back. I honestly didn't care, because in Revenge of the Sith, he tells Anakin that the dark side of the Force is a pathway to many abilities that some deem to be unnatural. He learned, when he tells Anakin that story about Darth Plagueis learning how to save other people from dying, and he learned how to stop people from dying. Palpatine learned how to save himself. He learned how to stop himself from dying. So people are saying that it makes no sense that he's alive, and I'm like, yes, it does. You got to go all the way back to the prequel movies. He learned how to do it, so he had plan B in place for if he died ever, and he used it. So it makes sense. I know they brought him back, and like JJ said, it was the plan the whole time. I think that's a lie, because I don't think they were going to kill Snoke off just like they did, because they got the Palpatine on, the Sith planet has a tank full of freaking Snoke clones, because he's like, I made Snoke. He's my little bitch. And I just was like, I don't know. I thought it made sense the way they wrote Palpatine coming back, and he was ugly as hell. He all nasty and like half dead. So like it made sense. Like he was barely alive, but he was still alive. Now all the goddamn ships, the freaking Star Destroyers coming up out of the ground and shit, and they all have planet-destroying technology like mini Death Star laser cannons. That I thought was kind of stupid. And because there was a shit ton of them, and they just bust out of the ground, and he's been building this freaking huge army for years underground, and they're just... that was silly. I mean, so some of the story choices are silly in the movie. I love that the movie ends where the original Star Wars kind of started with, Luke on Tatooine looking at the suns. I mean, that's where it ends. It's kind of cool. She buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers where Luke grew up, and she has a new lightsaber, which she built out of her staff, and it's yellow, which is cool. Don't get me wrong, it's cool, but the yellow kyber crystals, the yellow lightsabers, kyber crystals, that's what powers and gives the lightsaber its, color and everything. Those are for the Jedi Temple Guardians. They're the only ones that ever have yellow lightsabers. So, but I mean, she's really the only Jedi, so I guess she could do whatever the hell she wants. So, and what I love about Rey is she's like a gray Jedi. I love gray Jedis because they are a Jedi, but they know how to use the dark side, but they don't ever fall to the dark side or turn to the dark side. I love gray Jedis. Like Mace Windu, he was a great Jedi. He know how to use the dark side. If you read about his character outside of the prequel movies, he knew how to use the dark side. He was a great Jedi. He just chose not to really show that he knew how to use it. So I thought it was cool they went down that route. But overall, peeps, I could talk about this movie forever, just like The Last Jedi. I thought JJ did the best he could possibly do to end the new trilogy and the Skywalker saga as a whole. He had a lot to accomplish, a lot to fix, try and fix, pleasing fans. Like, I think the guy did his best, honestly. I really do. He did his best, Jesus Christ, with what he was given, because they did not work together at all. The whole story with this new trilogy is the worst story in the Star Wars franchise. The other two trilogies, yes, the prequel trilogy is structured story-wise way better than this new trilogy. There was no structure, no working together with the directors. It was almost like they hated each other. It was weird. You could almost feel that in the movies. So yeah, guys. So I guess I'm going to give The Rise of Skywalker, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I do think it's a fun, enjoyable movie. It's very fast-paced, high-octane, and I think it ties up things and finishes the saga in a nice way. It could have been better, but... So yeah, an 8 out of 10 for Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, everybody. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you, and be catching you on the tube later because I have spoken.